Hi, it's Friday and we've had breakfast now and we've tidied up, dried all the pots and put everything away, and now we're ready to start some baking. So we're going to make scones. So I've put the oven on to 185 degrees C. So that's just warming up now. I've washed my hands before I started. I'm just going to make sure the work surface is clean. So I've got some spray, antibacterial spray, just to give it a quick wipe. I've already wiped it once, but we'll do it again, just to make sure it's nice and clean. Put that in there. Okay, so scones. First of all, we need my scales, and I'm going to measure my flour and put it in my bowl. So when you put the bowl on the scales, make sure you set the scales to 0, and then we're using self-raising flour today. So I'm going to tip in 250 grams. So I'm using a sieve just to make this a little bit lighter. So you just gently shake, try not to shake it too much, there's dust everywhere. And we're up to 150, 180, 190, so I just need a little bit more. 228, 240, 246, 248, 250. Okay. So that's 250 grams of self-raising flour. Then we're going to need the butter, and we need 50 grams of butter. Again, I've got a little dish to put it on. Set that to 0 and 50 grams. 46, 48, just a taddy more, 50, hey. Okay, so that's my butter. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my butter into the flour. I'm going to chop it up into little pieces. And then we're going to rub the butter into the flour. Okay, just let me get a cloth. No, best not to do this. Right, so make sure you just put the butter with a bit of flour on it. And then what we're going to do, we're going to just get the butter in your hands and push the flour and the butter together, and we're trying to make fine breadcrumbs. I'm just lifting it slightly out of the bowl, and that just makes the flour and the butter have a little bit of air in it. So I'm rubbing this butter in. There we go. Can you see? As I'm doing it, I'm just rubbing the butter between my fingers and breaking it up as I'm going along, trying to get it to combine with the flour. Keep going. And a little bit more. Keep rubbing it in. Don't want any lumps of butter if it can help it. So we just keep doing that. There we go. So try to keep your hands above the bowl so it goes back in the bowl and not round the edges. And I'm still continuing to rub the butter into the flour. There we go. Keep rubbing it in. It's getting there now. It's beginning to look like breadcrumbs. Right. So I think just about done it. It's just beginning to come together now. Can't see any of that butter. Just give it a shake. That'll make all the lumps come to the top. And now what we've got is some nice looking flour and butter, giving that lovely breadcrumb mix. Can you see there's no butter there? It's all gone in. Okay. Then what we need to add is some caster sugar. So I'm just going to weigh 50 grams of caster sugar. I've just set my scales to 0 again. That's my ovens up to temperature. 50 grams of caster sugar. Sometimes I don't bother putting a lot of sugar in. Depends how sweet you want them. Did I get a spoon? I don't get it. I'm just going to mix that sugar into that mix, and then we're going to add, should we say 50 grams of sultanas? Yep. Actually that's 60, so that'll do, 60 will do. So put my sultanas in, and then I'm just going to mix all those together. There we go, can you see that? All nice and mixed up. So that's flour, 250 grams of flour, 50 grams of butter, 50 grams of caster sugar, and I put about 50 to 60 sultanas. And then what we're going to do next is add an egg. There we go, so I've got one egg. Being careful not to get any shell in there. And then we're going to just whisk that up. And I'm going to add a little bit of milk. Not a lot of milk. That's it. And whisk them two together, like so. And then I'm going to make a hole in the centre of my mix, and then pour most of the egg in. I'm just going to leave a little bit behind. Can you see I've left a little behind? And that is to put on the top of the scones before we put them in the oven as a glaze. And then what I'm going to do now is just mix that mixture together using a spoon. I could use my hands, but you get all sticky. And we're just trying to get all that ingredients all coming together so that we can put it into a bowl, and then it'll be ready to roll out to make scones. So I'm going to stop the video at this point because we're already doing 9 minutes. So I want to try to make them in short little bursts. So this is part 1, and I'll be back in a moment for part 2.